Marcus Hamilton Comedy Store tonight, and wow, Ismo was fantastic from Finland, and we're glad to have him in our Comedy Store family. And it's a pleasure to introduce our next guest. You have seen her on, she's a fixture here at the Comedy Store. Everybody knows her and loves her. You've seen her on Kill Tony, Wild Things, and What the Tea. Ladies and gentlemen, Cassandra Cass. Later here.
Thank you.
Cassandra, wow, it's quite elegant to have you here tonight. You look terrific.
I'm not wearing underwear, if that helps.
we just covered that with the Finnish guy. hope it's silent.
Yeah.
Anyway, Emmy, you just went to the Emmys.
Yes, just a little bit about me. So I grew up in Des Moines, Iowa, and I originally was one of 4 boys. So I'm a proud transgender woman. I thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you. Well, thank the doctors. But basically, yeah, I do burlesque shows for a living. I travel all around the world, and I've been a part of 3 major reality shows. One that Whoopi Goldberg produced called Strut, that was on Oxygen and Bravo. And I went to the Emmys for the first time this year.
Ah.
So it was such an honor because I'm not familiar, I don't know if you're familiar with the show Pose, but it's a first all transgender cast, and they were nominated for an Emmy. And one of my friends was in it, and I got taken there by Chaz Dean, who's the famous guy on all the billboards, the celebrity hairstylist, and he does my hair. Chaz Dean, we love you. So yeah, I was like Cinderella, literally, at the balls. So yeah, it was super fun.
Did the handsome prince ever come along?
Well, there was a bathroom moment, but we won't go there. He turned into a frog at midnight.
So, what time in your life did you decide to be a performer?
Well, you know, I've always been the type of kid, because I was one of 4 boys originally, so I was the 3rd, so I always wanted attention.
Right.
It was just in my blood.
Yeah.
But my dad was like, you know, I said I wanted to take acting lessons, and he's like, oh, that's for gays, and didn't support it. So when
I'll bet he said gays too.
Oh, no. He said that's for faggots. And I was like, oh, okay. So, but then at 16, I went up to him and I told him, Dad, I really want to live my life as a woman. And you can imagine, he lowered the paper, you can tell what time it was, and he goes, you're going to be the ugliest woman. And who is ever going to be with that? Want to be with that? But that drove me for the next 20 years.
That was his first reaction? Was what an ugly woman you'd be?
Yeah. But
he didn't take that as an insult to his DNA? Or?
No, but my dad is a Midwestern man, so he looks at women 2 ways. Can they reproduce, or are they fuckable? And I don't think he could imagine his son at the time as becoming, now he thinks I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
But it took like 20 years and a lot of really good Christmas gifts.
Well, okay, now I'm really ignorant about it.
Yeah.
Bruce Jenner was a friend of mine who used to come to the Comedy Store. Before he got married, back in his Olympic days at the Comedy Store Westwood. Great guy, did all this stuff on stage. He would go up, we had a ball together.
Literally. You had 2 balls.
Yeah.
4, no,
yeah.
4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now, you know, he's what happens if your kids eat their Wheaties, you know.
Yeah, right.
But when he went through the transition, did that enhance the transgender community and bring a lot of things to light and respect?
I personally think any exposure is better than none. I think it brought people started talking about it, because before people didn't even talk about it. So I think it's kind of like anal sex. When they first put the tip in, it hurts a little, but then after a while, it just goes all the way in.
I see what you mean.
So yeah,
I'll take your word on that.
I think, come on, Argus.
No.
You've
Look,
never had a finger there.
No. I always had a good lawyer that bailed me out. I've got one right here. And not yet. Always say yet. We say in AA.
Well, do we have a commercial break or?
well, okay. Now, now here's what I really don't know. Like, do all of the transgenders aspire to have organ transplant?
Like SRS, which is, changing your sex.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there's a lot of different factors. First of all, it's very expensive.
Yeah.
And I think that, mine
certainly After covers it.
Yeah. Mine was like 30 grand. I call it the jaguar vaginas. And then a lot of them, some of them don't, but I think it's a personal thing. For me, I wanted to look in the mirror, and for me, I felt like, you know, a woman. So I wanted to have a very, very beautiful vagina.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, I'm really curious about this because I've been curious about them for a long time.
Well, think about it.
Okay, I am.
But,
Now wait a minute. I've got a good question. I've got a real question.
Okay.
I want you to. Okay, the transplanted vagina that you are given. Okay.
But it's not transplanted.
All right, whatever they do. All right. Do they give you the nerve endings that would give you the same pleasure that a woman with a born vagina would give you?
Well, first of all, I think every woman is different, just like every man is different. But they do take, if you know about in vitro, we could get really deep. We all start out as female, and then it drops into the penis for, you know, males, and it stays, you know, to the vagina for women. But for us, we just reverse that. We take the penis, and, you know, the tips.
I thought I knew everything.
Okay.
Come on.
So we.
I'm like the RCA Victor dog.
So the tip of the penis becomes the clitoris of the vagina. So it's very sensitive.
Yes.
So I enjoy sex. So yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, but so when you talk about this on stage, I bet you have the audience in the palm of your hand.
Think about it. A man designed my vagina, so how beautiful must it be? Think about fake boobs. People can say what they want, but fake boobs look really good.
About the 4th or 5th year.
What? The 4th?
Yeah, when they start to. Well,
when they drop.
When they stop looking like elbows. You know.
Well, mine don't look like elbows. I don't think so. Do they look like elbows?
I don't know how to react.
And they bounce. I think it's really good. But no, so yeah.
But seriously, I mean, I've been to recovery meetings, especially men's stag meetings, when they will share about their attraction to transgenders and stuff like this.
Well,
I know it's a bent in the human nature.
I tell people beauty is beauty.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're attracted to. I mean, you're sitting beside me, and I have a very feminine spirit, and it's funny because in my dating life, it can be very difficult because it takes a certain type of man to be able to deal with it. You know, people will come up and say, "Are you gay?" I'm like, "Gay? I mean, I'm super hyper feminine. I'm not like a masculine person, but I mean, that's one of the reasons I came to your show, because I just want to really give a body to the movement."
Well, you're the second straight guest that's we wound up talking about movements, and but this is a different route. What I want to ask you is, how do you translate this on stage? Like, give me an example of what you talk about on stage.
Well, I'll go up and I'll compare my vagina to a new car. You know, about design, like you go and you pick out, you know, the interior of a car. That's how when I go into the doctor.
Like rich Corinthian leather.
Yes, yes. And different doctors do different vaginas. I did my homework. I mean, some of them are a little saggy, some of them are tight. I wanted like a 12-year-old vagina. You know, that type of vagina.
So you wanted a Muslim boyfriend.
I mean, I don't discriminate. So
this was an enticement, not a discrimination.
But I talk about that. But I also, because I do burlesque shows for a living.
No.
No. Do you know what burlesque is?
Yes.
What is it? What is it, Argus?
It's not quite stripping.
Okay.
And it's enticing, and it's feathers and stuff like that.
Well, burlesque is, first of all, I respect strippers or anyone who's a performer. Burlesque is more costume driven.
Yeah.
Like my costumes range from $10,000 to like $20,000 a piece.
Wow.
And it's more about, you know, like we have women in the audience. It's more about celebrating femininity.
Yeah.
The art of it and the tease of it.
Yeah.
So you can bring your wife, and she's not going to get jealous and like punch you for getting a lap dance.
Yeah, I know. Like one of the pioneers in Hollywood was Gypsy Rose Lee. She was a brilliant woman.
And Dita Von Teese is a good friend, and she's like the leading top burlesque performer right now.
It is an art form.
Yeah.
Well, I will look forward to seeing you perform here at the Comedy Store. Where are you performing next?
Well, I'm going to be in Dallas, Texas. I'm performing. I'm actually opening for Leslie Jordan on October 12th.
Yeah.
And you can go to Cassandra Cass 21 on Instagram and see all my pictures and where I'll be at. And I might be performing. What are you doing later tonight?
I think I'll just obey my nature.
Wow. Thank you so
And that
much.
means I go home and work. That keeps me out of all this trouble. Trust me, no one can attract trouble like Lord Hamilton.
I've heard.
The restraining order between me and humanity says 10 feet. So, we got Cassandra Cass, and we've had a ball with her. Give it up. We're gonna
Thank
have,
you.
know,
Thank you.
when we go move upstairs to the belly room, we're having you back fast.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Cassandra Cass, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to have a picture taken.
Yeah, absolutely.